So every time I get on to read my Facebook, it's asking me what's on my mind, right? And when I'm getting ready to do that, what is on my mind isn't usually on my mind, because I'm trying to gain the lesson of the day from people that I have as friends on my Facebook, and so I'm doing more shutting up and more listening, because there's people that get on the Facebook and there's people that I've met that they are not on Facebook because of the drama, and I'm like, well, don't subscribe to that part, you know, because if we subscribe to things and then we don't like what we're experiencing, we should unsubscribe. All right, because I mean that's the way that works, and that's the way life works too. We should just unsubscribe from what has been offered to us for a fee, or and the fee can be your time. That's your most valuable asset. I'm going to go on many tangents this morning because I was thinking about stuff, and I was like, what are we supposed to be doing though? In this world, what are we supposed to be doing? Are we supposed to be growing peaches? For me, I think so because I like peaches. Right? I mean, because I was like, man, peaches are getting really expensive. I'm like, I'd like to be eating them a lot more often. And when I moved onto this property, it was only like basically sagebrush that was growing, and some of them. I mean, this has been trimmed up quite a bit already, but some of them were really, really dead inside there. They were like they were barely holding on for a while. I mean, they're not flourishing, but they're a warrior plant. And when I started recognizing that there's warrior plants, and then there's like little worrier plants. Little worrier plants are the ones that need to be kept indoors, and they need to be fed artificial light because they can't handle it outdoors. But then the sun is too bright. The sun is too bright for them, right? And so they live a very like they're not very strong. I mean, like this little tree. I mean, it's catching wind from all the way across this valley, and so it's bending and it's showing how strong. I mean, it's lost a few branches, but that's the cost of gaining strength. Is sometimes there's some pain associated to it, and if we're too isolated from pain or what's natural, then we may not fully grow into our potential. Like last year, I probably got like 25 peaches off this tree, and I think this year I'm going to get even more. Um, but I was really surprised because it's not really that big. I mean, it's only like 7 feet tall and probably 9 feet or 10 feet in diameter. But yeah, it's doing well. And all it took was somebody in their right now moment eating a really, really good peach. My friend Lori, she said it was like the best peach I've had in a long time. And so I I put it in a cup with some soil on it, and then it sprouted into a little tree. And she says, I was helping it grow by keeping it on my porch and giving it a little water every day. And it grew into something bigger than I can have on my porch. So would you like to have it on your property? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. And it was the size of like a 5-gallon bucket, when I got it from her a few years ago. And now it's a bit more. So I'm happy to report on that. The other thing I was going to share with you that I came to realize is that where is it? Oh, I already filled it in. But there in the middle of those mint plants that just kind of popped up and donated themselves right there. Just like these berries, they're just taking over this whole area right here. And that's going to be cool because then I can eat berries because I like those too. Where I was going with that is the quail. All right, so right there, the quail come in here, and in the hot part of the day, the sun. Oops, I'm pointing this up here. The sun is coming from over there, so they're in the shade from the peach tree, right? They're in the ground right here. They've made it like a bowl, and they know that this area gets watered, and if there's a bowl, it'll probably get filled up with water. So then when that water seeps down into the ground, it makes it really cool at the surface for them. And the quail are, this is like one of their favorite hangouts. Every time I come out to this garden, the quail are, well, they've strategically placed these little beds everywhere. And a lot of quail visit here. There's rabbits, and there's squirrels, and there's coyote, and I've watched a coyote steal one of my chickens, and he was a wily coyote, because by the time I pulled my pistol out to try to save my chicken, he was gone. I think he's dug like a secret tunnel somewhere, a secret tunnel system from the Acme company. I don't know. So this is a new project that I'm trying out. So my friend and I, we dug a trench, and we lined it with plastic with just a few holes in the bottom of it. And because berries like to have water. Oh, and these are like all the rocks that I didn't want to step on, and so they get stacked into the wall. I call that rock Tetris. But sometimes somebody comes by and they mess it up, or the dogs kick it over, or whatever. But yeah, and then radish, or not radish, rhubarb. These things are giant. They're really, really big. And they weren't when I put them in the ground. But that's how that works. And it's neat to watch the things grow that you've put into the ground. Oh, but so let's talk a minute about that worrier and warrior again. Okay, so the worrier plants, or the house plants, that they can't really handle much. If it's too hot, or it's too cold, or if they're too dry or too wet, or they have to be just perfect, right? They have to be perfect all the time. And so then they're limited in their growth, though, right? Because if something grows beyond what it can be supported by, it's going to be stunted. But when plants that are hardened and capable of producing really cool things, because a lot of those house plants too, they're only producing beauty, which is cool, right? But I think that's beautiful too, and it gives me food, which that's pretty cool. That's I like my life now more that I'm eating from the source for free, rather than having to get it at the grocery store for a fee, right? And over here, this is kind of a cool little. Some of the areas that are my least favorite, they're becoming my favorite because I'm putting my energy to them. Right? And when I put my energy to them, the whole experience of that space changes. And it's really neat watching the transformation, because for some time in my life I was watching television, and way more than I should have been. I mean, I should have known more about the stars than the Hollywood stars, right? I mean, I did grow up pretty natural. I mean, so I had a good blend of what was being advertised to us versus what's natural. I mean, the beaver was like one of my buddies I hung out with. The deer and quail and stuff like that because I lived out in the woods. But we had TV. Everybody's got TV, right? So, but yeah, these warrior plants, they appreciate some water. They appreciate some of their dead and decay from driving. They keep driving their roots in, and they drive their roots in right now as often as possible. When they get some water, they follow the water deeply into the ground. And when they follow the water deeply into the ground, they're providing an organic, like, tunnel, basically, for water from down below to come up to the surface. So it's bringing it up and it's giving that energy to the plants around it. And that's how different trees can start to pop up. Is once you have the bunch grasses and the sagebrush coming into a deserted landscape, then the tree of heaven starts growing too. And when the tree of heaven starts growing, it starts providing a mulch layer and shade, and then other trees can start being planted. And those other seeds come in because the birds in different areas are now coming in and sitting and shitting on the branches and dropping fertilizer and seeds. Right? That's how nature does that. We don't. Nature doesn't have a subscription to Monsanto or whatever GMO companies that are trying to control everything. But it's easy to control everything when it's dependent, right? I mean, if you really didn't like your house plant, you would just deprive it of water, right? And maybe light, throw it in a closet. And it would start to fail because um, because it's being controlled and it's dependent on so many things. And if they can't pay for their dependence and they rely on you, they are your slave, right? But these are pretty free plants out here. I mean, like, I put a seed in the ground, and that's another apricot tree that's growing, and probably another 3 years, I'll be getting apricots off this tree, and in another 8 years or 9 years, it'll be 25 feet tall. Anyways, yeah, these I work with veterans with PTSD um, and other traumas, right? I mean, everybody's experienced little traumas in their life, things that make them not as happy as they were when they were a child, right? I mean, happiness is like is something that we really should be getting better at. I mean, because if we know what makes us happy and we know what doesn't make us happy, we can uh, we can control our now moment better, right? And it doesn't have to be in a way like everybody else. It needs to be in a way that you want it to be. How? Oh, watch this. This is, I love doing this, right? Okay, so walking in the mud barefoot and feeling the mud squish up between your toes. That's awesome. It just feels great. And I never get athlete's foot anymore. I mean, like, when I was wearing socks and shoes and doing all the things that everybody else is doing, I was I would get athlete's foot sometimes, and man, God, that hurt. I mean, one time it got so bad that, I mean, that the Tinactin and the powders all of the things that were advertised to me and available at the pharmacy, the pharmacy store, but they didn't work very well, and they were kind of expensive. And then my grandpa, he was in the army, and he told me, he says, "Help," and he says, you need to pee on your feet." And I said, "What?" He says, I said, "Whatever." He says, "You, damn it." He says, "If you don't listen to the people that give a shit about you, you ain't gonna learn nothing." I was like, "Yes, sir. All right." And he goes, "Yep." He says, "Next time you're gonna go get in the shower, you're gonna not turn on the water yet, and you're gonna pee on your feet, and you're gonna splash around a little bit, get it all over, all right? And then, um, and then go ahead and take a shower. Give it a few minutes, and then take a shower." And I said, "All right." So I did that, and just in a few days, my athlete's foot was gone. And I was like, "Holy shit, that old man knows something." People have said, you gotta um, pee on a jellyfish sting or on bee stings and stuff, and makes sense. So um, anyway, I don't get athlete's foot anymore, and it feels really good. I mean, like just walking on the ground. And that's the thing is, I mean, if we're walking blindly on the ground, if we're not if we're not paying attention, life can get very painful. 'Cause I mean, there's a lot of things here that if I were to step on, um, they might hurt, right? But they also make you stronger. And I look at it positively because I know that there's a lot of pressure points in our feet, and I figured, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's just helping me with free acupressure, right where I need it at the time. It's where life is happening for me instead of to me. I mean, because really, the pain only lasts a few seconds, and I mean, it's made me pretty tough. I mean, I I've done like home dentistry, so I mean, not I tattoo myself, you know. I mean, I can manage pain. I know it's temporary, but if it helps us to achieve what we want, which most of the time, like 99% of the time, I'm barefoot. I'm just happiest being barefoot, unless it's really really cold, I mean, and that's when, or a really really dangerous environment, right? And that's where protection should be realized as normal. But I don't know. People are protecting themselves from their steps in life every day, that they're not being very conscious as to what is within their control, right? And only right now is within your control. And when we reconnect with how nature does things, we are see the beaver dam. These are like little ways that we can implement what nature does naturally into our experience of making the world a better place. So yeah, anyway, I guess that's what nature has taught me this morning.